We're going to work 3 attacks from the shoulder crunch. So we're going to work the shoulder crunch sweep, fail shoulder crunch sweep to triangle, and shoulder crunch to leg lock entry. So we're just going to talk a little bit about setting up the shoulder crunch. So we're going to wrestle up from butterfly guard. So I'm going to use a cross shoulder pose. So my left forearm goes to Marie's left shoulder. I'm going to look to try get an underhook with my left hand. So what we want to do is replace our left hand with our right hand, so we create a frame, and then I pierce my left elbow through. This allows me to get an underhook, and then I lock up my gable grip for my shoulder crunch attack. So I'm going to sit back down on my hips, bringing Marie forward. I put my foot on Marie's hip. This is a really important detail, because if I don't put my foot on Marie's hip, there's a chance here Marie can flatten me out. So what I want to do to get a good tight shoulder crunch is I want to bring my thumb down and my elbow up. This should make it like hard for Marie to rotate her arm and pull her arm out. My right forearm acts as a frame, so if Marie tries to come towards me, I'm just going to use this forearm as a frame just to keep her head at distance. I want to like pull the slack out of her arm. So when I'm doing this, imagining that I'm trying to like slightly pull the shoulder out of joint, and I'm going to slide my ear back towards her wrist, and then I pinch my ear towards my own shoulder, keeping that elbow high and then keeping my thumb down. So depending on Marie's reaction and her head position, so if Marie starts to come towards me here, I'll put my 2 butterfly hooks back inside. Marie's head is low and it starts to come towards my head. This allows me to set up a shoulder crunch sweep. Before we go into the sweep, what I want to do is I want to break Marie's base, so I just extend my legs and I take Marie's weight off my hips. I then roll towards the side of the shoulder crunch, so that's my left side, so that goes left elbow down and right elbow up. I put my left foot on the floor, continue bringing my right elbow up, elevate with my right leg, and then we come up on top and take them out. So again, we're in butterfly guard looking to set up the shoulder crunch. I'm going to go left cross frame over to Marie's left shoulder, putting weight on Marie's left hand. This allows me to pierce my left elbow through. When we do this, we have a couple of different options. So what I don't want to do is I don't want to take my hand off and then punch the underhook, because this just gives Marie space to counter. So we have 2 choices here. One is to either, if we can get close enough, put our forehead into our training partner's neck and get the underhook, or I can use this cross frame, and if I can't reach Marie's head with my head, just use my right arm as a frame and then pierce my left hand through. We lock up the gable grip, so this is going to help us set up the shoulder crunch. I sit my weight back on my butt. I put my frames, either 1 frame or 2 frames on your training partner's hips. Doesn't really matter too much. I'm going to go 1 frame. Again, elbow goes high, rotating the shoulder inwards, and my thumb goes down. I'm thinking about taking the slack out of the arm, so I start to pull the shoulder, pull the slack out of the elbow, and then I finish with pinching my ear on Marie's wrist here. So if Marie tries to pull out her arm, this should be very hard, especially with the shoulder rotate down towards the floor. So again, Marie's response is her head is starting to come towards me. I've took the foot off the hip and put in a butterfly hook. Head is coming towards me. I bring my right elbow high, left elbow low, put my left foot to the floor, and then I elevate with my right hook to finish up on top into the mount. So we're going to do that again, but just a little bit faster. So we use our cross frame, we switch with our right frame, head position if we need it, punch our underhook, and then get our gable grip. We sit back to butterfly guard, scooting our hips back. I put 1 or 2 frames on my training partner's hips just to keep the distance. Rotate my thumb down, elbow high. We get our shoulder crunch grip. Marie's then pressuring towards me, and then we use this to elevate. So I use my right elbow to elevate Marie's head, and then my right leg follows. Press my left foot to the floor, and we come up on top into the mount. Now we're going to work our triangle from the shoulder crunch. So very same setup. So it's a cross frame, replace our frame. We get our shoulder crunch grip. Remember, rotating our elbow up towards the ceiling, and then our thumb is going down towards the floor. If we don't do this, if my thumb goes up, my elbow goes down, Marie can rotate her elbow and then she can free her arm. So we're keeping her elbow high and we're keeping our thumb down towards the floor. Very same setup where I put my feet on my training partner's hips and I'm kind of scooting my hips back. So this gives me a lot more base and I can spend more time in the position. So I'm keeping my ear pinched towards Marie's wrist as well. If Marie tries to pull her arm out, this should be very hard. So on our last technique, Marie's head was coming towards me and we used this to set up the shoulder crunch sweep. But this time Marie is keeping weight on her left hand, she's keeping good posture, and I just find it hard to bring her in towards the shoulder crunch sweep. So what we're going to do for this one is we put extra weight on our training partner's left arm, I throw my right leg over Marie's elbow, and then I bring Marie's head towards my head, and then we cross our feet to set up our triangle. A couple of details on the triangle. First thing I want to do when I'm in this position is I want to control posture, because 9 times out of 10 Marie is going to look to posture to escape. So I take a right collar tie, I unlock my triangle, I pinch my knees, I put my left foot to my training partner's right hip, I bring my head over to the left side. I use this kind of to load me to push to bring my weight over to the right side. I grab my shin, lock up the triangle, we can bring the arm across, start to underhook the leg or the lat or the armpit, depending on what way you want to finish. So we have our shoulder crunch grip, I have my foot on my training partner's hip. Remember, the response here is Marie's head is high, she's bringing her head away from me this time instead of bringing the head towards me. I see that Marie has weight on the left hand, so this is always going to be a good opportunity to throw our right leg over the crease of the elbow. Even better if we have the flexibility or just the position to throw it over the shoulder, that's going to be even better. But at minimum we want to get the leg over the elbow. And then I use the shoulder crunch grip to pull Marie's head towards my head. We lock up the triangle. First thing we do is we take a right collar tie, unlock our legs, keeping our knees pinched nice and tight. Left foot goes to the hip. I bring my weight to the left side so I can load my weight on this side. I push and we start to lock up our triangle, and then get our finish from here. So you can take the scoop grip on the leg, grip the hip, or we can even grip the armpit depending on what way you want to finish. Our last technique from the shoulder crunch is going to be a leg lock entry when our opponent bases on their hands. So we're going to do the same setup. We wrestle up, cross frame. We replace the frame with the opposite frame. I managed to get my underhook, gable grip, and then all the same details apply. So keeping our left elbow high, rotating the shoulder inwards, thumb towards the floor, taking the slack out of the arm, and then we're controlling distance by keeping my foot on my training partner's hips. Always keeping our ear pinched towards our wrist. So the stress test here is, can Marie pull her arm out? Can she rotate her elbow? If she can't, you're going to have a good shoulder crunch. On this one, let's say for example our training partner manages to maybe get the foot on the inside, so you just kind of manage to step forward. We're in like a butterfly position. But before I can go into my shoulder crunch sweep, Marie then puts weight on her left hand and eventually her right hand. So she might use this to do some kind of float style passing. So if we find that we're not able to extend and get back to butterfly guard, we're going to bail on the shoulder crunch. We're going to go thumb post into the armpit, and I'm going to get Marie's head over my head and I put weight in her hands. Once this happens, I bring my left hand over to her left armpit. So we use this reverse lat grip. I grab the knee tendon, put my left knee into Marie's left hip, shoot my right leg through, and then we're into single leg X. There's loads of different responses that you might get from here. So one, Marie could either stay in this position or she could bring her head towards me. She does this. This allows us to go into our reverse X, or use our reverse X to get into the saddle. If maybe Marie just tries to roll over her left shoulder and spin out a leg lock position, this allows us to go into outside heel hooks and different attacks like that. So again, wrestling up, we get our shoulder crunch grip. We have the foot on the hip. We're trying to maybe set up our triangle or a shoulder crunch sweep. Marie manages to clear my foot off her hip, and she manages to put my shoulders on the mat. She gets weight on her left hand and on her right hand. This allows her to take her hips up off the floor, to maybe to pummel her legs inside or go into float style passing. So if we find that we're not able to get back to butterfly guard, we basically pummel our hands underneath our training partner's armpits. We get these thumb posts, and I put Marie's head over my head, keeping the weight on her hands. Once this happens, I bring my left hand towards Marie's left armpit. We're going palm facing away. I grab the knee tendon, shoot my right leg through, left knee goes into Marie's left hip, and we go into single leg X. We've all our different types of sweeps, from X guard and single leg X. A couple of leg lock entries we can look at as if Marie stays in this position or decides to bring her head towards my head. We can go into use our reverse X to put us into the saddle, or if maybe Marie tries to roll over left shoulder and spin out. We can go into outside heel hook attacks, or we can even wrestle up from this position here. So a couple of ways that we can build confidence in this position is active drilling. So when we're doing active drilling, basically our training partner on top is going to give us, like, say 40% resistance. The goal here is basically for me to develop the skill in the shoulder crunch, so not for Marie to shut me down every time. So let's say, for example, when we're in this shoulder crunch position, the way I would start is, let's start in the shoulder crunch position. So we have the elbow nice and high, thumb down towards the floor, shoulders rotate, took the slack out of the arm, like all the details we've talked about. And basically what we want to do here is, Marie's going to give me, like, say maybe 20-30% resistance in the beginning, and I just want to see can she rotate her shoulder outwards and then, like, free her arm. All right, so if Marie can do that, so if you give it a shot, Marie can. And you can see that she's starting to move there a little bit. So I'm just going to, like, adjust my shoulder crunch. Maybe I'll start to adjust my position as well, so I kind of move my hips away, put my feet, my training partner's hips, and then I'll add a little bit more pressure inwards. So if Marie tries to free her arm now, you can see this is a lot harder. So Marie can obviously start to up the resistance a little bit, so maybe we might go to, like, max maybe 40-50%. So if Marie tries to resist it, you can see this is still very hard. So once we've kind of, like, built confidence in, like, say holding the shoulder crunch, then what we might look at is, I'll give Marie another response. So maybe a different response now she might have is, she can use this left hand to maybe post on my knee, post on my hip, post on my head, and maybe cause problems in the shoulder crunch so she can free her arm. This will allow us then to focus on keeping the shoulder crunch and then maybe keeping more weight on this left arm. So if Marie tries to pull her arm free and tries to post, so if you can see, if there's no weight on Marie's arm, she can post on my knee, post on my hip, or even my head, and then use this to try, like, free her arm. So again, just one way we develop, like, say the skill in the shoulder crunch is to put weight on it. So if now Marie tries this one more time, you can see this is very hard. And then we can start to add in different kind of resistance, like maybe I try pull Marie's head towards me for, like, the triangle setup or even the sweep, and I'll get Marie to try pull her head away. So if you try pull your head away, and I'm going to try pull towards me here. So then I'm just going to get used to controlling in the shoulder crunch and then working on a triangle. So these are different kind of, like, micro drills you can use to develop the technique and develop the confidence in the position. So if you add this into your game, maybe as a warm up or before you go into positional sparring, they should definitely help you develop the skill in the shoulder crunch.